writers, and welcome. I'm Miranda Darrow, freelance fiction editor, talking to you again about editing and writing. Every month in my free Facebook group for authors, the Concise Fiction Academy, we talk about a different writing craft book. The link to this group is in the post below if you'd like to join. For December, I decided to tackle an older book that was published about 10 years ago, which still has great tips for writing dialogue. It's Dazzling Dialogue by James Scott Bell. I've read several of Bell's books on writing, and I've seen him present, and I really like his style. His books are informative, but conversational and not overblown. You can read this in a day. The full title is How to Write Dazzling Dialogue, the Fastest Way to Improve Any Manuscript. And I do think he's right, that fixing your dialogue, bringing up your dialogue game is the easiest way to improve any manuscript. There are really not that many books on writing craft topic that tackle dialogue, which is surprising given how important writing strong dialogue is for fiction authors. I'm definitely adding it to my list for future books in the Concise Fiction Academy series. But for now, my go-to resource is Dazzling Dialogue. Most of the examples in the book are from movies, which works well as people have seen movies more often than specific novels. He also wrote examples to demonstrate his points, often quite funny examples, of saying too much, info dumping, and other dialogue writing sins. I like Bell's explanation of the 5 functions of dialogue in fiction and his grant of permission to cut any conversational formalities that you'd have in a real conversation that don't serve a story purpose. Like, hi, how are you? And, well, it was nice talking to you. As any Minnesotan knows, it can take a good half hour of complete nonsense, small talk, to extricate yourself from a polite conversation. But readers do not want to hear that. Cut right to the chase and say what's important. Use subtext to talk around some of the important points, and then ghost on out of that conversation with nary a say hi to your folks for me. Here are some of my favorite quotes from Dazzling Dialogue. First up, I believe dialogue is the fastest way to assess the skill of a writer of fiction. This means it's also the fastest way to improve your manuscript. Another quote, every word, every phrase that comes out of a character's mouth is uttered because the character hopes it will further a purpose. The character has, in short, an agenda. So the first secret of dazzling dialogue is to give your characters their own agenda checks in every scene, and then put those agendas in opposition. Another quote from Dazzling Dialogue by James Scott Bell, dialogue is not real-life speech. It is stylized speech for which the author, through the character, has a purpose. That's a crucial distinction. We don't want to merely capture reality in our fiction. We aren't filming a documentary. What we do is render something that feels real, but is intended to create a desired effect. Another quote from Dazzling Dialogue, dialogue in fiction has 5 functions. One or more of the following must be at work, or you're just taking up space. Reveal story information, reveal character, set the tone, set the scene, reveal theme. Next quote, the dullest exchanges are those between 2 people on the same wavelength with nothing gripping to talk about. I call these sit down for coffee scenes. Watch out for them. And if you do have 2 friends or allies sitting down to talk, don't just make it about feeding the reader information. He's some trouble. Agendas, arguments, barriers, and fear. By keeping these 4 things in mind, your dialogue will sizzle as well as be dazzling. You'll be pulling readers into the heart of every scene. This results in what we call a page turner. When you write a scene, your text is above the surface. That's what the reader sees. But underneath, you have a huge chunk of unseen ice. Indeed, that's the dangerous part of the iceberg. That's the part that's a mystery. Most subtext should operate like that. In other words, what's going on in the scene is more than what is seen. See? There we go. That's my quotes. We'll spend quite a bit of time on the 5 function, as revealing character itself has like 4 or 5 examples worthy of exploration. So check out Dazzling Dialogue by James Scott Bell and join our Facebook group if you'd like to get on the discussion. And as always, like, subscribe, and click the bell for notifications of my weekly videos on writing, editing, and the writing life. Happy writing!